The whole story of Montreal's cultural houses network, it really starts with this fantastic, almost unbelievable image.
It really does.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1981. The very first Maison de la Culture, Maisonneuve, has just opened its doors.
And it's housed in this gorgeously converted 1907 fire station.
Exactly. The space is beautiful, but, it's modest. And the demand was just immediate, overwhelming.
Right.
People who wanted to hear the concerts were literally filling the stairwells, crowding into the entrance hall. I mean, they were sitting anywhere they could find a spot.
That image is so profound because it just illustrates the core idea of this whole system.
Yeah.
That culture isn't something you have to commute downtown for, or that it's reserved for some grand theater. It's something people are desperate for right in their own neighborhood.
And they proved it.
Yeah.
Right there on the stairs in that old fire station.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're going for this deep dive into the Réseau des Maisons de la Culture de Montréal, Montreal's Cultural Houses Network.
Also known as Réseau Accès Culture.
Right. And our sources, they all describe this as a massive decentralized cultural system that is, and this is a quote, unique in North America.
And it's all designed to enshrine this idea of cultural citizenship as a right, not some kind of privilege.
So our mission here is really to map out the mechanics of this system for you. We need to go beyond just the 12 main buildings and understand its vast scale.
It's a whole ecosystem. It covers over 60 different venues, reaching all 19 of the city's boroughs.
And we also want to look at how it's preparing for the future, specifically looking at the roadmap for 2025 to 2030.
Okay, so let's unpack this. But I think to really get it, we have to start with the philosophy that built this network.
Because it has much deeper historical roots than just 1981, right?
Absolutely. The ideological seed for this was planted back in France in 1959 by André Malraux.
Okay.
His original vision for the Maison de la Culture was all about cultural democratization. The goal was to take the major works of humanity, what many considered elite culture,
Right, the big stuff.
and make them physically accessible to the masses. It was fundamentally a top-down system of distribution.
So bringing the great works to the people. But the sources show that when this idea landed in Quebec in the 60s, it wasn't just a copy-paste job.
No, not at all. It evolved.
It went from democratization to something called sociocultural animation. So what's the practical difference there for the average person?
It's a really crucial distinction. Democratization is passive. You sit and you receive the culture.
Okay.
Sociocultural animation, on the other hand, is dynamic. It's participatory. It shifted the whole focus to democratic culture, meaning it wasn't enough to just bring Bog or Shakespeare to a neighborhood. The programming had to actively engage citizens, respond to local social needs, and treat the citizens themselves as co-creators.
So culture is a tool for community building.
Exactly. And that explains why the network is so adaptable.
And that adaptability is physically reflected in the buildings themselves. They didn't just build a bunch of identical model boxes.
Mm-hmm. No, they repurposed history. And that's part of the genius of it, and a key factor in keeping the system rooted in the community's own story.
We start with Maisonneuve, the 1907 fire station, of course.
But then you look across the city. L'Entrepôt in Lachine is in a former industrial building, a massive metal and brick structure that used to be for manufacturing, now it's for the arts.
And maybe the most beautiful example, the Chapelle Historique du Bon Pasteur, which was a 19th century monastery.
It's fascinating, isn't it, to think of these spaces once for pure utility or, solitary contemplation, now being these vibrant hubs for collective artistic expression.
They're literally transforming the city's built history into its artistic future.
And that strategy means that these cultural sites are just everywhere. When we talk about the sheer reach of the Réseau access culture, we're talking over 60 locations across all 19 boroughs.
They use such diverse sites to get that hyper-local proximity.
You've got concerts in public parks, like the Concerts Campbell and Parc La Fontaine.
They even actively use places of worship, like the Église Saint-Charles. So they're weaving culture into the city's existing fabric.
And this approach, it allows for this incredible range of venue sizes, which makes that proximity feel even more real. You need different size containers for different types of community encounters.
Right.
You've got these highly intimate rooms that seat maybe 88 people, like the one in Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie, perfect for a close-up musical performance or a poetry reading.
And then on the other end, you have one of the largest, like Maison de la Culture Mercier, which seats 400.
So it can host larger theatrical productions. That variation ensures the right scale of encounter right there in your neighborhood.
It sounds like an immensely robust, really ambitious system. But if the goal is truly this cultural citizenship, where citizens are active players, not just consumers, how do they actually do that?
You mean, how do they translate that philosophy into their day-to-day operations across 60-plus locations?
Yeah, exactly.
This is where we get to the core operational structure. The network realized pretty early on that just opening the doors and putting on a show, it wasn't enough.
Right.
They had to systematically integrate artists into the community fabric. The so what here is that their mission moved entirely away from just diffusion and focused on 4 interconnected pillars. It's known as the MIDI model.
The MIDI model. Okay, so that's the strategic engine driving the whole thing. Let's break down MIDI. Let's start with M for mediation.
Mediation is the bridge-building pillar. It's the critical element that breaks down those symbolic barriers to culture, that feeling that, art isn't for me or I won't get it.
And the scale of this is huge.
It's astounding. They manage 2,500 mediation activities every year. This is stuff like workshops where you work directly with an artist, guided exhibition visits that give you context, direct artist public meetings.
So it turns a performance from a spectacle into a conversation.
That's it.
That is a huge investment in dedicated interaction. Much more than just setting up chairs for a show. So, what about the first I?
The first I is implication. This means deep community collaboration. The cultural houses don't operate in a vacuum. They partner with literally thousands of local groups.
Like who?
Everything from primary schools and high schools to community centers and even long-term care facilities, the CHSLBs.
And that ensures the cultural offering isn't just arbitrary.
Exactly. It's actively targeted and shaped by specific local needs and demographics. It roots the arts deeply in the social fabric of each borough.
So MIDI gets art out to people and connects it with the community. But who's supporting the artists themselves to make the art? That brings us to the final I assume.
It does, but we can't skip the D.
Ah, right. Diffusion.
Diffusion. This is the visible output, the presentation of professional quality programming, and the numbers here are just massive. 3,000 shows, films, and exhibitions a year.
Drawing in over 700,000 visitors. That's the bedrock.
It is.
Okay, so now the second I? Incubation.
Incubation is absolutely vital. Without creation, there is no diffusion.
Makes sense.
This pillar is dedicated entirely to supporting creators. The network hosts around 200 artists and residents every single year.
Giving them space, resources, time.
Everything they need to develop new works. So if you're a local resident, you see this incubation pillar working when you go to a show and you hear a new piece of music or see a play that was developed right there in your neighborhood.
The full cycle.
The full creation to community cycle. MIDI covers it all.
And this is where it gets really interesting, I think, in terms of challenging our assumptions. The programming is so intentionally eclectic.
Oh, absolutely.
You'd expect contemporary dance and chamber music, but the sources point out that they also host professional wrestling. How do they manage that tension between high art and popular culture?
That tension is the point. It's central to the whole idea of cultural citizenship. The breadth of programming ensures maximum access, and it reinforces that the place itself is neutral ground.
So you find chamber music, blues, Afro-acoustic music.
Right alongside social circus and cutting-edge visual arts. The goal isn't to elevate one art form over another, but just to provide a high-quality encounter no matter the discipline.
And hosting professional wrestling at the original Maisons fire station, no less, it shows a real commitment to embracing popular culture.
It does. It stands right alongside major institutions like the Festival Petit Bernier, which is one of the biggest children's festivals. It just normalizes the whole cultural experience.
And that dedication to accessibility goes beyond the type of art. It's about physical and cognitive access, too, which the sources really detail.
Yeah, they've made huge strides there.
We see clear efforts, like at the Maison de la Culture Janine Souto, which is highlighted for its universal accessibility.
It even has the Hear Entendre Quebec system for people with hearing difficulties.
Right. And increasingly, the network is adopting what they call representations décontractées.
Relaxed performances.
What does that mean in practice?
It means the shows are specially adapted. Things like reduced noise levels, warnings about sudden loud sounds. The house lights are kept dim.
So that people with sensory sensitivities or special needs, who might normally find a theater environment just overwhelming, can attend comfortably.
It's about removing every single barrier, whether it's economic, symbolic, or physical.
Let's talk about those economic barriers.
Yeah.
Because that's where the network really shines for the listener. How does the public actually navigate this massive system?
Critically, the vast majority of shows and exhibitions are either free or available at a very modest price, sometimes as low as $8 or $12.
But you still need a ticket, right?
Right. Because of safety and venue management, you almost always need a pass or a ticket, even for the free stuff.
Okay.
These are typically available 2 weeks before the event, and there might be a minimal service fee, like $2 if you book online. The key is just to plan ahead a little bit.
And beyond the individual tickets, there's this powerful tool for residents. The Carte Guest Montreal, the Command-Cam. What's the value proposition there?
The CAM card is basically a passport to cultural benefits across the whole city. It's super cheap, $10 for the first card, valid for a year.
But it unlocks some serious discounts.
Extremely high value. It gets you discounts like 15 to 20%, not just at the cultural houses, but at major institutions outside the network.
That's the strategic part. We're talking about discounts at places like the Orchestre Symphonique de Montreal, the OSM, Centre PHI, Espace pour la Vie.
That $10 fee is easily recouped if you go to 1 or 2 events downtown. It's a brilliant policy, really.
Oh, so?
It transforms the neighborhood network from a local silo into a gateway that connects the whole decentralized system to the downtown cultural core.
So it's proof that a strong local cultural policy can actually elevate and support the city's major arts institutions as well.
Precisely.
Now, we've talked about the beauty of these repurposed historic buildings, but maintaining that infrastructure, especially when it's over a century old, that has to be a constant, expensive battle.
It is. That's the unavoidable reality of reusing heritage buildings. They require specialized, expensive, constant maintenance.
And we saw the fragility of the system in 2023.
We did, with the dramatic fire at the Chapelle Historique de Bon Pasteur. It was just a devastating loss, especially for concert music programming.
So what was the immediate response to losing such a vital venue?
The response really highlighted the network's core strength. Its decentralized nature. The programming didn't stop.
Wow.
The institution immediately shifted to programming hors les murs out of its walls. They used partner locations like the Centre Canadien d'Architecture and the Centre Sanac.
And the rebuilding.
The government expects to release full budget details in early 2026, but the key is that the commitment to the artists and audiences continued without a pause. It shows the cultural mission isn't just the building. The art finds a way.
That spirit of modernization, it also applies to environmental standards, which is a big part of their strategic planning now.
A huge part. Eco-responsibility is a major theme in the city's new cultural policy, and we're seeing real strides in accreditation.
Yeah, 4 houses have achieved San Eco-Responsible Level Gold.
Including the original Maisons fire station.
And Janine Sato achieved the highest mark possible, which is so impressive for a municipal network.
Platinum level, yeah. And that speaks to rigorous, high-level practices in everything from energy efficiency and supply chain management to waste reduction.
It shows that cultural decentralization isn't just a social project. It can actually lead the way in municipal environmental governance.
Which sets the stage for their future direction.
Right. Let's look at that strategic horizon. The new cultural policy for 2025-2030, it's titled Créer, Transformer, Unir, Create, Transform, Unite. What are the crucial priorities guiding them for the next half-decade?
The priorities really reflect a response to contemporary challenges. First, there's a clear focus on the valorization of the French language.
Making sure programming and mediation actively support French expression.
Exactly. Second, they're prioritizing significantly enhanced visibility for Indigenous cultures across the entire territory, moving those voices from the periphery right into the core of the programming.
And the third priority speaks directly to that core mission of proximity we started with.
It does. The third is maintaining and improving territorial equity. This just means constantly mapping and ensuring that high-quality professional culture reaches every single neighborhood.
Especially those traditionally far from the downtown core. It's an ongoing fight against cultural desertification.
That's the goal.
So if we take a step back and summarize what we've unpacked here, the Montreal network is so much more than just a dozen buildings.
It's a successful 40-year-old social experiment.
It provides massive diffusion, 700,000 visitors a year, while also being this essential engine for professional creation, supporting 200 residencies annually.
And it's a completely unique governance model. You have the city, the boroughs, and major art councils all pulling in the same direction.
Which raises an important question. So what does this all mean for urban cultural policy outside of Montreal?
I think the success of this decentralized MIDI model demonstrates so clearly how direct, Localized, subsidized cultural support can be a powerful lever for both genuine economic development and deep social cohesion.
By making it free or cheap.
By making culture free or modest in price, and by hosting it in neighborhood venues, they are systematically lowering both the economic and the symbolic barriers to participation, and it's incredibly effective.
I think the most powerful takeaway here is the ultimate power of this approach, and it's something for you to mull over.
Mm-hmm.
If a major city commits the infrastructure, the funding, and the philosophy to transform old fire stations and industrial sheds into professional labs for everything from chamber music to professional wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
what radical new forms of culture could truly flourish in your own neighborhood if those barriers were consistently removed?
That's the question.
This is a system that profoundly believes culture belongs to everyone here and now in their own district.
And if you want to explore that direct artist-community link even further, you should look into the network's concept of anchorage or anchoring.
What's that?
It's the specific mechanism that supports those deep, multi-year artist collaborations right inside local communities. It's fascinating.